Hi, I'm Jody Daly, and this is Let's Talk, where consumers like us talk about the things that matter. Eating. We all do it, and we all do it differently. 3 meals a day or grazing, cooking or delivery. Today we'll talk to 3 generations about the finer points of food, past, present, and future. So don't go away.
Want to make your mealtime a little more enjoyable? Check out the ready-to-heat, ready-to-serve meals and side dishes offered at your favorite supermarket. Whether it's chilled or fresh or frozen, you can taste the cuisines of the world. And if you buy the supermarket store brands, you can be sure of quality and freshness at reasonable prices. Give them a try and add something special to mealtime.
It's gone from breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a bedtime snack to munching around the clock. Grazing is really big, delivery is huge, and those prepackaged meals, both cooked and uncooked, are more popular now than ever. So we wanted to ask consumers about how, when, where, and why of their eating habits. My guests include John, who says his wife always has been and always will be a great cook. And his eating has really not changed over the years, or maybe just a little because you were on Weight Watchers and you lost 35 pounds.
Right.
Good for you, John. I think that's great. Audrey, now you've come full circle. You started out in the suburbs as a kid, then you moved to the city, and now back to the burbs, and I imagine you are raising your family with an extra freezer in the garage. Am I correct?
Correct.
There you go. And Gail, you have hit the stop button on what we like to call the fabulous 20s of I can eat anything I want. And we'd like to know a little bit more about what you're doing in a couple minutes. But John, I'm going to start with you first. So I'm getting your wife cooks, your wife shops, you eat what she puts in front of you. Am I correct?
Well, to a degree, you're correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
But, well, over the years, I've noticed, like most of us have, that your metabolism slows down, so you can't eat what you used to be able to eat without paying a price.
But you have changed a little bit. Tell us how.
Well, I still like the meal times at dinner with everyone together, so you can share your lives. But for the other meals, I kind of I'm on my own, and I choose what I enjoy, but I won't have to pay a price later.
We were talking before the show, and you were talking to me about now you reach into the refrigerator, not as much for leftovers, but maybe a yogurt or some fruit. Am I correct?
Yes, it was a slow and painful process, but I do that now, and I'm really lucky in that I find that I do enjoy some of the foods that are good for me, and I have found some foods that are satisfying too.
I want to know what your wife's best dish is, the one that you love the most.
She's honorary Italian, so her sauce probably is just as good as my family sauce ever was. So I like it. So pasta is big. Probably
Pasta.
her pasta sauce.
Sure.
I've tried to learn how to do it, but I can never duplicate what she does.
So she's made the same kind of sauce for years.
Oh, yes.
But your habits have sort of changed.
To a degree, yes.
Yeah. And what do you think was the reason for your habits changing, besides, health and your metabolism?
Well, actually, that's what it was. I noticed I like to fool around with mechanics myself, and I couldn't flip under the car as easily as I used to.
I see.
And it was the bulk and blood work. The numbers were starting to trend.
Don't talk about blood work. That's a whole different show that I don't even want to talk about. So go ahead.
Okay. But anyway, just the normal reasons. I was gaining weight easily, and I became more aware of some of the health aspects of the food, so I decided to modify.
And you also told me that you like to shop. Look at that. Look,
Yeah.
did you see the smile on his face? You like to shop and you like to use the technology in the supermarket. Tell me a little about that.
Well, again, I found some foods that are good for me and I like. And I don't expect that my wife would have to use the list I made up to buy them, so I go. And I found that some of the accommodations that are available in supermarkets now are kind of fun to use and are very efficient. Like those little scanners that you take when you walk in, you fill your basket. Well, you don't fill your basket, but each item that you take, you scan it, it blips, and then when you go to the checkout, everything's all set. You just scan it again, pay the money, and you're done.
Yeah, and Audrey, you are now doing a lot more in the supermarket, right? You started in the suburbs,
Right.
moved to the city,
Correct.
back to the suburbs.
Right.
How has it changed for you?
Well, I think we do one formal food shop a week.
When you say we, does that mean you pile all the kids in the car, or?
Or usually my husband and I will go and we'll buy for the week. And we also buy meat now somewhat in bulk quantities because we
Like
have
the whole cow and then cut it up?
exactly right.
Okay.
Like a 17-pound brisket or
Good God.
ribs.
No, I got to tell you, I like butchering an entire filet. and I will make stew meat out of it, and I'll make
Right.
little fillets and stuff. So I know it. But you need room for that, and you
do.
didn't have it when you were in the
We
city.
didn't. We didn't. And now we have a smoker outside. So now we smoke meat. So we'll make something outside, slow cooked ribs, and then we'll have sort of.
John's salivating over
Oh,
here.
yeah.
John can come over.
Oh.
Have you saved
might
any
be-
money?
I'm not sure. We need to figure that out.
Because you were telling me, we talked earlier, and you were telling me when you were in the city, you guys ate out a lot more.
We did. I think we are saving money, but we also host people on the weekends. So, you know.
They want to get out of the city.
Right. So
That's-
they'll stay for the weekend and we'll, again, cook for maybe 8 or 10 or 12 people. But, you know, I think all in, we're probably saving money.
John, you want to go? You and me will head over there
Yeah.
next weekend.
No,
I'm thinking
boy,
we
that's
could be one of the 10 or 12.
we're going to take you up on an invitation, show you if it's.
That's right.
We take
Well,
you
we're
seriously.
gonna hold right there, and when we come back, we're gonna talk to Gail and see if her habits reflect her entire generation or just the smart part of it. So stay with us.
Looking for a great way to keep your weekly shopping budget in check? Choose your favorite supermarket store brands, and you will be amazed at the savings you'll see at the register. Made from the same quality ingredients as national brands, store brands really add up to great savings. Give them a try and add money to your pocketbook.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about eating habits. And it's not necessarily what we eat, but how we eat and why. So we just talked to John. John, pretty traditional, although he's getting into technology now at the supermarket. Audrey went from being in the burbs to living in the city, back in the burbs, and now feeding everybody from the city on the weekends, which John and I will be there. And now, Gail, I want to talk to you. The rest of us are very jealous of your generation because we think in our minds that you can just eat anything you want and you stay thin and you stay healthy and you stay energetic, and I'm totally wrong, aren't I?
Absolutely. I wish you were right, Jody. I really do. But I think in your 20s, you start to realize that your metabolism is starting to slow down, and you have to decide whether or not you're going to gain that weight or you're going to start making a conscious decision for your
What
own
were
health.
your eating habits before you made that conscious decision?
I was definitely eating a lot of sweets. Donuts were my breakfast on the go, and just eating a lot of fried foods and drinking.
Yeah. And we talked about all-inclusive brunches.
Yes, so definitely the all-inclusive mimosa brunch, all you can drink mimosas all for 2 hours. And
But the thing about something like that is that for your generation, going to brunch is a lot cheaper than going out to dinner on a date, right?
yes,
So did you find that that was where your whole social life was?
yes, my social circle was definitely surrounded around eating out, going out with our friends, finding the best deals, even at dinner. Sometimes you have, Tuesday or Wednesday night specials at certain bars, certain restaurants, and living in the city, you definitely took advantage of that, especially in your 20s.
Well, if you're in Florida, you get to do the early bird special.
Yes.
That's always good. No, said no one ever. I do want to know, though, what was the point where you said, done, can't do this anymore?
Well, I was at the doctor, and he had a frank.
That's a good start,
Yes,
yeah.
the doctor's office had a frank discussion with me about my weight. I was about 180 pounds, and he basically just told me that I had to start taking care of myself, or I was going to have issues with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and just the history of my family, knowing that my grandmother has had open heart surgery, and I just didn't want that outcome for myself.
So yours was all health-based?
Yes, all health-based, and just knowing I didn't want to be. I always had an athletic body growing up, and I had let myself go throughout my 20s, and I wanted to get that back.
So what's eating like now?
Eating now is, I would say, definitely meal prepping for me. I don't do the traditional meal prep like Sundays, where you just spend your whole meals for the week. I typically do like 2 days ahead. I'll cook something the night before and make that work for 2 lunches at least.
Meals with you guys, do you prep ahead? Does your wife prep ahead, or is it pretty much?
Not really.
No?
Not really. No, she can whip something up on a moment's notice. So
I got to
it's-
meet this woman.
Oh,
She
no,
sounds
she's
pretty
good.
amazing.
Very
And
fortunate.
You were talking about Mommy Wednesdays. What's that?
Oh, Mommy's night. So we consciously sit down at the table on one night a week. Wednesday is our night because we don't have sports, gymnastics, and usually my husband will cook a meal, and we all sit, and it's great. We catch up, and then we usually do a board game or a puzzle or something where we can kind of catch up with each other and have a more formal family, outing.
Even if it's
evening.
out of the crock pot?
Even if it's out of the crock
Her
pot.
son hates the crock
Oh,
pot. Go ahead, tell him
no.
about the crock pot.
So we tend to use the crock pot as well as our smoker, which I shared.
Yes.
And when that comes out, my son usually is, not too thrilled, but
He'll get over it.
He,
Believe me, once
we
he
make
start-
some decent
How old
things.
is he?
So Finn is 13.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Your bills are going to go like here.
Right.
So let me ask you each one more question.
Sure.
Do you think that the people in this panel represent the generations as the way you thought people ate?
I would say yes in my case.
In your case?
Yes.
Okay. And so do you think these two generations look pretty much the way you would think their eating habits would be?
I would also say yes.
Okay. What about you, Audrey?
I guess so. Now that we move more to the burbs, I think we're becoming more of a traditional, where we do have more formal meals, where in Hoboken, I think we tended to grab a slice of pizza, or
Sure.
if someone came home later, you always had an option.
Yeah, okay. And what about you, Gail?
I would say it's definitely split because you have your group of people who choose comfort over everything and something quick and accessible, being in the city. And then you have people who are thinking consciously ahead and just working those meals, making sure they work in their schedule and prioritizing that time.
Have your friends changed because your habits have changed?
Yes, they have.
Wow.
It's incredible. Of course, I'm still close to my best friend, but everyone around me, you change this entire lifestyle and you realize you don't have anything in common. And it's sad to say that, but that's just how it happens. And then you just learn to gravitate towards people who are more like you and more in line with
Yeah.
the goals you have in mind.
So I'm getting that no matter who you are, when everything changes, you change with it, whether it be Weight Watchers, whether it be moving from one place to another, or actually finding out what's good for you, which is and good for you. How many pounds did you lose?
60 pounds.
60 pounds.
Yes.
Keep up.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Thank you so much for being part of the show, and thank you for joining us too. For more information on what you've seen on today's show, please visit Store Brands USA, the channel here on YouTube, or go to storebrandsusa.com for shopping information, recipe ideas, and more. I'm Jody Daly, and I'll see you next time for another edition of Let's Eat. Let's Talk. Let's Talk. That's what it's called.